Young loves Houston.
I actually auditioned for National Star in Houston. I did most place in Katy, Texas, and went there as much as they would have me.
Just right. You make me laugh.
He's a regular at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
I hope I get to play it every year for the rest of my life, because it is just an incredible, incredible play, and especially with the new stage they did. I mean, it's insane.
I'm pledging $100,000.
And Chris was one of the very first entertainers to set up a relief fund for victims of Hurricane Harvey.
It was neat to see on your page. I saw someone had donated $5,200, and then the next person had donated like $5,000.
That was the one positive thing that came out of all that, was just seeing people come together and still come together, because it's something that people are going to be affected by for a long, long time.
But we are Houston strong, something Chris Young is celebrating with us tonight.
To the man I wanna be.
The man Chris inherited his love of music from his grandfather, Richard Yates, once a regular on Louisiana Hayride.
My grandfather sang as much as he could, as much as people would let him. Still does, by the way. If we go over to the house, he's like, "You want to go to the music room?"
Chris worked his way up, taking whatever entertainment gigs he could find. And when we say whatever,
I used to like teach dance and go dancing all the time. I actually used to break dance.
and rapped in the reality show Walk in Your Shoes.
You know, there's always stuff that you end up doing that you're like, I don't ever see that, and then it comes back.
Don't let Chris's wonderful sense of humor fool you, though. This accomplished songwriter is a classically trained musician who can also...
I can sing in a bunch of different languages. When I got to college, when I actually went to audition for music programs, it's like, well, I can sing in other languages. And they're like, well, show us something. So, you know, I ended up being like, oh, cessate di piegarmi, oh, lasciatemi morire.
Being multi-talented paid off big time. Chris won Nashville Star and his first major record label deal.
And all I can think about is getting you home.
Getting You Home, obviously my first #1 that I ever had as an artist.
And with his first big check,
I bought a washing machine from the scratch and dent store. I called my business manager. She didn't answer, so I left her a voicemail and said, hey, I finally found something I want. I'm going to go buy it. Call me back. And of course, 2 hours later, as I'm loading the thing onto my truck, she starts calling frantic. Just, did you buy a car? What did you buy? I'm like, no, I bought a scratch and dent washing machine. It's like $400. Is that okay?
Gonna love you like there's no tomorrow.
Talk about Tomorrow.
Tomorrow was the first platinum song that I ever had. It was one of those that just kind of took on a life of its own.
I'm coming over.
One of my favorites and half of America's as well, I'm Coming Over.
So I'm Coming Over is a song that I came in with the title, and obviously one of the cooler videos that I've shot in my career. Just had a really, really cool concept and a lot of really great shots. And again, a lead single off a record, which is always super important.
Chris co-wrote I'm Coming Over and every other song on his current album, including Sober Saturday Night.
Another sober Saturday night.
Vince Gill recorded the song with Chris, and on the night the two were scheduled to perform it on the Grand Ole Opry stage, this happened.
I'll forgive the session fees if you'll be the newest member of the Grand Ole Opry.
Well, and I would think at this point, I think 10 #1 singles playing in these arenas, it's got to be getting close to this like pinch me moment in your life when you're here at the Grand Ole Opry and you don't realize that your grandparents were backstage last fall.
That was the first time I think I've ever seen my grandfather cry. So that was cool. You know, when you get to do something that not only makes you emotional and gets you excited, but you see your friends and your family and everybody else freaking out about it, it's special. I put this up myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I put the screws in on that. Being over here the night they inducted me and just looking at that wall and adding your name to it is pretty incredible. You just look through this list of people, and for me, whether it's people that I'm a fan of from listening to them, or even getting to know them, like just getting to know little Jimmy Dickens before he passed away was incredible, because he had all of the stories. Being on this wall means a whole lot to everybody that's on it.
Chris Young is here.
And how often do you come to play there?
As much as they'll let me. I try to play once a month. It's really important that you don't just take it as an honor to be a member of the family, but you also keep growing what the Grand Ole Opry is.
Obviously, longevity would be, the goal. But what else is on the bucket list?
It's always fun for me to put out another single or another album. We just dropped the video for Hanging On. Starting to climb and starting to watch people have that reaction for the first time, where you're like at one particular show in one arena and you see, okay, this is like the tipping point moment for this song. It never gets old.
Okay, so let's talk about the love in your life, the new love, Porter.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Porter these days?
He is in training for a couple weeks. He's awesome. That was a Christmas gift from my sister. Even days, like the worst days in the world, when he wakes me up at 7 a.m. and I went to bed at 2. He's just so dang cute. I can't even be mad at him. I love him. So he's my dude. And I've gotten a lot of hateful messages from friends of mine because he has more Instagram followers than they do, and they're artists, which is not my fault. He's just that good looking. He's just cool. He'll be a road dog very soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe by the time you get to Houston, 4th of July.
We might have to bring him to 4th of July. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get him some, dog headphones for the fireworks.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to answer that hard-hitting journalistic question. Did Porter make it to H-Town?
Stay tuned. The answer is right here. The answer is coming your way.
Absolutely.
Drinks, plus a spectacular Independence Day fireworks finale. Sponsored by Citgo. Fueling good.
Where we are very excited to be joined by award-winning singer and songwriter Chris Young, ladies and gentlemen. We want to start with a very hard-hitting question.
Okay.
Porter.
Yes. Did Porter make the Porter?
He did. He's here.
He's
here. I was actually walking him earlier. We don't know how he's going to do with fireworks.
Okay.
We're going to find out
He's
about
here,
that
here,
tonight,
as in
but
here.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
He's over there on the bus right now.
Okay.
He will be on a leash when the fireworks start.
Yes. No, he'll be in a crate when the fireworks start. I might be in there with him for most of it just to check on him, but yeah, it's his first 4th of July.
Yeah.
We are sorry this didn't come off as planned tonight, because this would have been your second appearance here this year, but you first were on the stage down there in 2011. I can't believe that's 7 years ago.
Yeah, you reminded me about that, and I love coming to play Houston anytime I get a chance to do it, but obviously 4th of July is so special for so many reasons. I mean, that's a big time of year, as the mayor was referring to earlier, with families getting together. That's always been something that's big in my family, so I'm missing them this year, and I really just wanted an opportunity to come out and play again for Houston on such an amazing night and such a meaningful night. But you know what? It's we were looking at photos earlier just of what the grass looks like now. You can see it. Right. You couldn't see any of that at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock when I came out. And it's a safety first thing.
Yeah, you certainly understood that. Let's talk about your family and your traditions on 4th of July, because I know you guys go big.
Yeah. It basically, I told you guys off air before we get started, everybody else on our street at one point just stopped buying any fireworks because they knew, the better the year was, the more I was going to try to load in the truck with my dad and I could actually get away with. And we kind of put on a show for the whole street as I just kind of kept growing up, and that was just something that was a lot of fun for me and my family. Being there, grilling out, having that family time where you're there with, my mom, my dad, my sister, my stepbrother, and now my niece and my brother-in-law. So it's just a cool thing for us. Plus, my sister and my brother-in-law are both Marines, so brings an extra layer to the holiday as well.
Do you sing? Do you sing when you're out there with your family?
Right. Do I sing?
Yeah.
No.
You don't
No,
sing?
they don't want me to
You're just
do
working,
that.
huh?
No, they don't want me to do that. They're like, go light fireworks.
Oh.
So, the bigger the better. Go entertain us with something different. But it's so much fun, and I've been really lucky that I've gotten to have those experiences with my family, and that it is a big night for everybody. And, excited for tonight because there are still going to be fireworks for everybody to see. I know everybody made that happen, which is just incredible being able to pull together and make sure there's still a really cool 4th of July celebration for everybody.
Hey, congratulations, because you've become a big country star. And Gina asked the question, is it tougher to make it or is it tougher to stay where you are now, which is a really interesting thought.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because you're doing one hopefully a lot longer than the other one.
Right.
Hopefully. But they're both tough in different ways. I mean, when I first got started, I was signed to RCA for 4.5 years before I actually had a hit on the radio.
After winning
National Star. So it's one of those things where everybody's like, okay, now you're good. And it was like, not really. So when that did finally happen, when I had Getting You Home, which was my first hit of any kind, much less being a number one, it was very, very cool opportunity to celebrate that and just enjoy it. And, it's been, ever since then, there's been so many milestones in my career. You guys had a lot of them in that package. Obviously, becoming a Grand Ole Opry member. I just had my 10th number one with Losing Sleep, which was so special. It's great. But it's just so much fun, and it's something that I always dreamed of and always wanted to do. And just to be honest, we're talking about family. I used to go work construction with my dad all the time, and I was terrible at it. So he's really happy that this worked out. He really is.
Get a real job.
Yeah, go get a job. Yeah.
I know when you auditioned for Nashville Star, you already were a performer. Tell us a little bit more about your singing career before the world heard about you.
Yeah, I was classically trained as a kid. That was something that I studied and just really felt it was important to have that classical base. I love jazz, but my first love was always country, and wanted to be a country singer. And I told my parents that when I was in high school, and they didn't look at me like I was a crazy person, which was awesome. I really did have that support from all of them.
Local competitions and local talent shows and stuff like that.
Anything they would let me do. If they would let me get on stage, I played a funeral convention one time. I didn't even know they had those. Everyone's laughing off camera right now, but they paid me $500 and I opened for an Elvis impersonator in front of a casket, which you can't make up. You can't make that up. But I mean, just seriously, any writer's round that I could get a chance to be in, I had so many people that really kind of lifted me up and helped me as a songwriter to learn and grow in that process. And felt really, really lucky. I really did have every opportunity to not screw it up from all of my friends and a lot of other artists as well.
We alluded to in the piece that you sing in a number of languages. How many?
Or just capably.
Capable, yes.
It really kind of depends. Somebody's like, oh man, you get Italian. Speak some Italian to me. I was like, that's not how it works. I can't speak in it. But just over the years, Spanish, Latin, Italian, Russian, French.
And what's the most difficult to sing it?
I would say actually German, because a lot of the ways that you pronounce things are so diametrically opposed from how we pronounce them in English. Just completely different. And not a skill that I really need all that often. It's really not. It sounds cool to talk about it, but I'm like, oh yeah, when do you use that? I'm like, never.
You don't get those requests. Hey,
Sing the Porter. Something like that, So tell me a little bit about your process when you're writing music.
Everybody's different. They kind of all have their own ways of doing things. I'm one of those people that I'll kind of adapt to the room. I've got so many friends that are great writers. If I'm in a room and I know that I'm kind of like the most proficient musician, then I'll pick up the guitar or piano, which nobody wants. But sometimes it happens, and sit there and kind of like figure out what we're doing.
So it's very collaborative. It's not you by yourself.
I wish you could get people in a room to record a songwriting session without making everybody feel like they were being filmed. Because I feel like it'll change the dynamic. But it's one of my favorite things to do because it is so cool when you do lean on each other when you've got more than one person in a room. And there's going to be days where you might say one or two things, and those two things really spark a change in what the song is. There's going to be other days where
you're speaking and you're just falling into this idea, and everything that you say just comes out correctly. So it's a day-to-day thing, but I'm a lyricist. I love doing melody. I love playing. So kind of jack of all trades, I guess.
So you're leaving here tonight, heading to Canada next?
Going to Canada, which is going to be beautiful. I would say it's going to be a lot cooler than here, but this is actually
Right now,
this is the most
awesome.
perfect.
Yeah.
After the rain,
Yeah.
it's just gorgeous out here. So it's a wonderful night to sit out and watch fireworks for sure.
We're so glad that you agreed to come.
Yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
sorry that people aren't going to get a chance to see you perform.
Right. Sorry, guys.
But
You'll have a
you're
clear
with
view of
us.
the fireworks now. Not a lot of people down here.
Everybody will see. So
Appreciate it. Pleasure to meet you.
All right. We got fireworks spectacular coming your way next. Don't go anywhere.